My name is Pablo López Luz and I live in Mexico City. Born and raised. I think the Mexico City landscape is very unusual and very particular to Mexico. One of the three images in the show is a very, very populated neighborhood. It's just mountains and mountains filled with concrete. I remember since my early memories of flying out of Mexico City. Flying over Mexico City is a complete experience because you fly for 20, 25, 30 minutes and the city keeps on dragging and dragging and dragging and dragging. At some point, it's like, oh, we're finally out. So it's like a huge carpet and just expanding carpet of concrete or houses and more houses. One of the first solo shows I had in Mexico City, the work that I showed was only this work. It was a very public museum, so there was a small notebook where people who went to visit the show could write notes. And 95% of the comments were political or social, more than the landscape itself. So people were like, oh, I'm happy you're talking about these issues that people usually don't talk about. Why do you shoot the ugly side of Mexico? So of course there's like a social and political weight to it, but for me it was more about the space and more about that landscape specifically. I've been working in landscape for a long time, so I kind of have been studying the history of landscape, of course, and I think for most of its history, landscape was always either represented for political reasons or for expansion reasons or just as a beautiful representation of nature. And I think in the 70s, especially with photography, there's a shift in what landscape means, especially in American photography. So they were going out to the street, going out to the landscape to talk about society, to talk about the changes, the political changes that were happening in their country. So it's not just a landscape anymore, but it's a way through which you can talk about people too. Many times we think of the portrait or the social photography as the way to talk about people, and that's what historically we've learned. And sometimes you don't have to get that close to people, I believe, to talk about people. So that's why landscape works also. You're talking about how people behave, how people relate, or the nature of people themselves. That's what attracted me to landscape, and that's what I think has attracted a lot of people to landscape, especially now.